My name is Brittany Perkins. I am from Martinsville, Virginia. I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in May of 2023. I am a mother of 3. I also have a stepson. I'm a wife. The first symptom that I had was indigestion. I had it for 3 years. Did not know that it was a symptom of anything. I was told that it was just acid reflux, nothing to worry about. And then it turned into vomiting, where I would get up in the middle of the night and I would vomit almost every night. That continued for probably about a year or so. And again, I was told indigestion, nothing to worry about. In April of 2023, I had started having really bad, it started off with back pain. And I was thinking, hey, I've pulled a muscle, because during that time, I was doing a lot of painting and moving furniture. So I was thinking, pulled a muscle. It went from back pain to abdominal pain. That went on for 2 to 3 weeks. One morning I woke up and it was excruciating, where I could not bend over. I could barely walk. It was really bad. And I decided to go to the emergency room. And when I went to the emergency room, I told them what was going on. And they were saying, it sounds like gallbladder issues. So they did CT scans. They came back and said, you have a tumor the size of a watermelon on your pancreas. And he then said, it's on the tail and body of your pancreas. It's okay, we can do surgery and, you'll be fine. My first thought when I'm told that I have a tumor on my pancreas the size of a watermelon, my first thought was my kids and my husband. I had an uncle to pass of pancreatic cancer. My husband's grandmother passed of pancreatic cancer. So my first thought was them. And this could not be the route for me. But that was my initial thought. My first thoughts was my family, my kids and husband. I went to another hospital that Sunday. And once I got to that hospital, they were kind of just trying to figure out what the next steps would be. And they had suggested that the GI team would come in and run a scope down my throat to see, what they were actually looking at. And the GI team doctor comes in, and her words to me was, due to the size of this, comparing it to the size that it was in 2018, this would not be an option for you. We can't do the scope because it's too large compared to what it was in 2018. That hit me like a ton of bricks because I had never been told that it was there in 2018. So 2018, I had my youngest daughter at this same hospital. I had a C-section. She was born 2 months premature. And so she was left in the NICU for 2 months. Not 2 months. Oh my God. 2 weeks. But during that time span, my C-section area had started to have a little drainage, and so something was wrong. So I went to the emergency room. Then in 2018, they ran a CT scan, and they came back and told me I had cellulitis. That was it. Nothing about a tumor being on my pancreas. So when she explained that to me, that it was there in 2018 and comparing it to the size, it confused me because I'm like, I was never told in 2018. What are you talking about? What are you referring to in 2018? And I had no idea that it was there. So I questioned myself for a long time after that because it's like, did they tell me this and I didn't hear it? But in that room, when they came back and told me I had cellulitis, it was me, my husband, my mother, and my aunt. So there's 4 people in this hospital room. If you had said something about a tumor being on my pancreas, that would have threw up every red flag possible. And finally, the doctor comes in Thursday and says, after speaking with all their teams of doctors, the best plan of action would be surgery. They said I needed to have 4 different vaccines before they could do the surgery. So the nurse came in. She gave me a hip. I think she gave me 2 hip vaccines. She gave me pneumonia vaccine, and then there was a 4th one. I cannot recall what it was. But then they said that I would have to have those vaccines in my system for 2 weeks before they could do surgery. This is a Thursday. I come home Thursday. The very next day, Friday, they call to schedule surgery for the following Tuesday. That wasn't even a week. So I'm like, why so soon if it had to be, these vaccines had to be in my system for 2 weeks. And the only thing I got from my doctor when I asked him about that was because, because of the size of it, we don't want to wait. We don't want to wait. We want to remove it as soon as possible. So I went in that Tuesday for surgery to remove it. They removed 80% of my pancreas. They removed my spleen and 29 lymph nodes on May 9th. I went back in for an appointment on May 30th or 31st one, where he came back and told me that it was pancreatic cancer. When it came back stage 1, I was blown away. I was blown away for it to be that size and for it to come back stage 1. And I asked my doctor, several times about that, and he showed me the tumor on screen, and it said, it was just very small amounts scattered throughout this mass, pretty much. That, in order to be stage 1, I think it had to be less than 2 centimeters. So with it being size of a watermelon, I think it was 14.2 centimeters. I'm like, how can that be stage 1 if it was 14.2 centimeters when stage 1 has to be less than 2 centimeters? But it was just scattered throughout the mass. The whole thing wasn't cancer. So it was unbelievable to me that it was stage 1. I still cannot believe that it was stage 1. I did have genetic testing, and it came back as a mutation, but one that they don't really know any information on yet. They told me, later on down the road, something may come available for, but as of right now, they don't have any information on the particular mutation that I have. After surgery, they wanted me to heal before I could start chemo. And I think that was 6 to 8 weeks before I started chemo after that. During that time frame of recovering from surgery, I had an allergic reaction to something. We don't really know what it was. They say it was the tape or either the glue on the incision. They really don't know where it came from. Where I broke out really bad over my entire stomach area, around the incision, everywhere. It was horrible. But after that, I started chemo. July 10th is when I started chemo. In between that time before I started chemo, I met with my oncologist, and she gave me treatment plan and told me that it would be 6 months, 12 treatments. But as she's explaining my treatment and what it would consist of, I was fine hearing all of that. What really got me was when she said 3 weeks in, I would start losing all of my hair. 3 weeks in. when she said that, that's what hit me the hardest. And at that point, I truly broke at that point. And for me, it was more so my kids, because I never want to look sick, so to speak, and I wanted to keep this for my kids as much as possible. If she had not told me that I would lose my hair, I probably would have never told my kids what was going on. Because even up until this point, they didn't know. They knew I had surgery, but they did not know that it was something in my pancreas. They did not know. All they knew was that I had surgery, and the lie was what I told them was that they're removing part of my stomach so I won't have any more stomach pain. Because they knew I've been having stomach pain. But I really wanted to shield them as much as possible from the truth. But knowing that I was going to have to go through chemo, knowing that I was going to lose my hair, I had no choice. There was no other options. I had to tell them. So that was really hard for me, because I did not want them to go online and look at anything. I didn't want them to research anything dealing with pancreatic cancer, because I know what that would tell them, and I didn't want them to know that. Originally, I was set to do 12 rounds every 2 weeks of 5FU. I'm not even going to try to say the treatment name for that. I will say that it's abbreviated as 5FU, which was 3 different chemo drugs. I did not complete 12 rounds. I completed 10 rounds. The side effects that I experienced with it, let's see, starting out, it was cold sensitivity, where I could not drink or eat anything cold. It felt like my mouth was on fire if I tried. I was very dizzy. During, they administered the first drug, and then that one didn't really affect me. When they started administering the second drug, in which they warned me ahead of time that, what I may experience going through it. But they told me that I may start slurring my words during the second round, and I may feel like I can't talk, things of that sort. So that really was difficult, because I'm trying to talk, but I feel like I couldn't talk. I couldn't form words properly. And while administering the 2 drugs at the clinic, I was constantly going to the restroom there, constantly. And I could barely walk to the restroom because of my balance was off. I was dizzy. So I had to have help getting to the restroom. And then the third drug, they actually sent me home with a pump, where I was connected to the pump for 46 hours, administering that final chemo drug at home. So it's pretty much like I was doing chemo for 3 days consecutively. And that really, I felt very drained, tired. You know, they told me I would possibly have vomiting episodes. I did not. I did not vomit not one time through my entire chemo cycle. They told me that diarrhea would be possible. Did not have any. I think my major side effects would be the cold sensitivity, the numbness. I had numbness in my hands and feet, which the numbness in my hands just went away in May of this year. I completed chemo in November. My feet are still numb. I did experience hair loss. I actually started losing my hair probably a week and a half, 2 weeks in. And like I said, that was the hardest part for me. But I did not lose all of my hair. Clearly, I still have a head full of hair. My platelet count started to drop tremendously towards the end. Towards the end, my hands and feet was really, really numb. And I tried to be tough. through it all. Like I tried, oh, it's okay. It's nothing major. I can handle it. I can handle it. Every appointment, my oncologist asked me, how's your hands and how's your feet? Oh, it's okay. It's a little numb, little tingling here, but it's okay. I can handle it. Um, and looking back, I wish I had not tried to be as tough as I did. Because maybe my feet would not still be numb if I had, not tried that. But so a couple weeks before, well, no, it was the end of October, beginning of November. I had been, this is, I guess you could say, the ugly side of it. Too much information, possibly. But I had began to be extremely constipated. And I had got really bad hemorrhoids, which were bleeding. And with the bleeding comes lower platelet counts. So my platelet count had got so low. And so I skipped a round of treatment. We said we'll push it off and wait another week. So instead of 2 weeks, it'll be 3 weeks just to see if it'll get back up. And it did. My platelets came back up. And my oncologist pretty much just said, you had your Whipple surgery. The chances are that it's possible that we got it all. This chemo is just pretty much like a, for sure thing, just to make sure that we get it all. At that time, I had CT scans done in October that came back to be clear. There was no evidence of any lingering cancer cells or anything of that sort. I think that was a very emotional moment, because although I tried to be as strong as possible going through it, and I actually started sharing my story on TikTok like every week, and it blew up like crazy. But I tried to be as strong as possible going through it. I never wanted to look like what I was going through, and I I really thought that the end of the story for me may end differently. I thought that, pancreatic cancer, the only way out of it is death. So I really thought going through it, I was trying my best to be strong for everyone around me. So actually making it through and being able to ring the bell and saying that I am cancer free from pancreatic cancer I feel extremely blessed, because so many people don't get that option when it comes to pancreatic cancer. There's so many people that's not operable. There's so many people that it's too late for them to even do chemo. So for me to be stage 1, be able to have surgery, be able to go through chemo, be able to ring the bell in the end and be cancer free, I did not think it was going to be possible. Right now I've been getting scans every 3 months, and 2 scans ago I did kind of have a little scare where they told me I had there has been, on every CT scan I've had, there's been a little mass on my liver. But it's just been a little mass, But 2 scans ago, it had grew in size. So it gave us a scare. I did a second CT scan. It didn't really show them what they wanted. I did an MRI. Didn't really give them the images they wanted. So they still wasn't really sure. So I went ahead and had a biopsy, and it came back as a hemangioma. which I am being told that it's nothing to worry about. You know, it's very common for women to have hemangiomas on the liver, but and it's not grew since then. So, you know, but outside of that, everything, all my skin has been good. Know the signs and symptoms of pancreatic cancer. It is very important to be diagnosed early if possible. I say if you feel off, go to the emergency room. I do not say go to your doctor, make a doctor's appointment, because I feel like I've had several doctor's appointments and they didn't catch anything. It was the CT scan that ultimately I feel saved my life. And going to a doctor's appointment, you don't get a CT scan. And at that appointment, they may have to schedule it. It may be another couple months before you get in to have a CT scan. So I feel like an emergency room is the best first step to get an actual CT scan. When you feel like something is off, when you feel like something's going on, go to the emergency room instead of make a doctor's appointment, but go to the emergency room. Like I said, to know the signs and all the symptoms of pancreatic cancer. And to know that pancreatic cancer is not necessarily a death sentence.